All right, hi, this is Dan Henk, and welcome to another edition of the Skill Sessions. And today my guest is Braxton Cosby. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it. How you doing?
Awesome. All right, I'm doing good. Just got back from work. It's a little bit hot out, but
Hmm.
my AC came in today, so my dog would be happy.
Nice. I know how it is with fighting that summer heat, man. It's terrible, man.
Yeah, it's been going up and down. Like it'll be scorching hot, then it'll be like winter, cold, cold weather. So
Right, right, right.
weird. But all right, man. So what do you got going on?
Nothing, man. I'm the CEO of Cosby Media Productions. We are a small press publishing company out of Atlanta, Georgia, and we published over 30 authors with like maybe 60 different titles and ebooks, audiobooks, paperback. We feel like we specialize in all types of genre, but realistically, our focus is fiction. So we got science fiction, we have young adult fiction, we have high fantasy, we have middle grade fiction, coming of age stuff. We even have like just regular fantasy. We have some urban fantasy, but we do
What's
branch
the
out.
middle grade? What's middle grade fiction?
Yeah, middle grade is like for middle school kids, like
Okay.
coming of age kind of stories and things like that. We also have some poetry, some dark, some light, and we have inspirational and self-help and biography stuff. So we got a little bit of everything, and we have our own um, comic book imprint called Star Child Comics. So we do our
Oh,
own in-house
awesome.
novels and comics.
So how many comics do you have out right now?
12 issues right now.
Okay, is one comic line, but it's 12 issues so far?
No, it's a bunch of stories. So basically we have like some superhero fiction that we built. We have some bounty hunter sci-fi stuff. We have some
Okay.
dystopian zombie type stuff, everything.
It's all different authors and artists and stuff.
Yeah, we got our own teams. We got like 5 different teams that we work with. Mainly most of the authors just write their own stories. Nobody writes and inks. So we have like teams that we work with who are associated with Star Child Comics, and we got their stuff all up on our website. So we just kind of, when an author has an idea for a story, we just pair them off with the artists who we think their style kind of fits with the story, how the story needs to be told, and they just do the magic.
So do you kind of have a roster of artists? Like you're like, this story sounds like this guy's work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They show us what we have, and then I kind of run it by the office, say, hey, this is a style that, what do you think between these 3 artists? Which style do you think fits you most? And they'll just select it and they go to contract with them.
Oh, that's awesome. I wish more people did that because they tend to like get people that like they do great horror. They're like, all right, so here's this
Right.
rom-com. Yeah,
Right, 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 right. Not gonna work.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree. All right, so what do you have out now and how often do you put out stuff?
Cool, cool. So right now for me, I'm in the middle of a push going to conventions. The stories that I have right now that are freshest are my dystopian series from this young lady here named Kisa Donovan, which is Broken. We have a novel, and I don't know if you know anything about us. We are what we call a hybrid publisher because we do our own novels and our own comics. We tell our stories that way. So you may start off with a story like Broken that starts off in a novel. Book two is not a novel, it's a comic. It's a first issue comic, 24-page comic for Broken Part Two. Book three is a 60-page graphic novel. So we
Okay.
kind of change up the medium a little bit, give people an opportunity to read something a little bit different once they get hooked onto the story. So,
Well, it's kind of a novel concept. Like I originally wanted to do comic books, and so I was gonna like I wasn't sure if I wanted to write or if I wanted to draw. And then
right.
I read Watchmen, and I was like, oh, you can do
You
both.
see? Absolutely. Absolutely. So we love it. And the people who we go to convention, man, we just killed it. We knocked it out of the park in Heroes Con up in North Charlotte, North Carolina. People were all over the idea because I had Broken there. People were buying that series. I have Steel Rain, which is my bounty hunter series. Book one is the comic book, 27-page comic book, and the book two is the novel. And so they dug that. And then we have the superhero fiction stuff. Like I said, we built our own superhero universe. 19 novels, 8 comics at this point, and we've got 5 different authors working on all that content. So people come by, they picked up, and I had my books. So I had the Cape series there. I had 4 books in that series plus the 2 comics. So they picked up issues 1 and 2 of the comic, or they picked up the novels. They mix and match, however, vice versa. However they wanted to tell that story, they got a chance to pick them up.
Okay, and you're the publisher, or
Yep.
are you
Yep.
also one of the writers or one of the
Yep.
artists?
Yep, I'm the CEO of Cosby Media Productions and Star Child Comics. My wife, Chantel, is the owner of both. And I have written over 20 novels myself as a novelist. I've also written 4 screenplays. I sold one short script. And I've also written, am I working on my eighth comic script right now?
Okay, do you have a thing that you focus on, like a certain style or genre?
No, like I said, I dig fiction. So right now, my series, my Broken series, is what I worked on. I wrote the graphic novel and the comic script for that series. I also wrote the novel, obviously. Same thing with Still Rain. I wrote the novel and the comic book. I'm already working with a very talented artist now on the third book in that series, which is the second issue of the comic. And I also wrote the comic and the novels for the Cape. You know, I got 2 issues on that one. The latest issue just came out, so that's what we're on our push. We're pushing the graphic novel for Broken right now at the conventions, and we're pushing the second issue of the Cape comic book at the conventions.
Okay. Do you fund it like I know a lot of people that do like indie comics, they fund it with like a Kickstarter campaign or Indiegogo or some sort of crowdfunding.
Mhm.
Do you do that or do you finance it, through your publication?
Yeah, we actually, that's what we did the first time around. Like, this was new to us. We've been publishing novels since 2014. So right around when COVID was hitting and the conventions were kind of getting a little more dead, I was like, man, what can we do to invigorate and instill a little bit of new life into the stories now that we were coming out of COVID? So I got with the authors who had already written their novels. We got Daniel Payton with his 3 book series from Bark. We had Kaio Champion with his 2 book series of Majesties of Canaan. We had Keyshawn Dodds, who has his 4 book series of Menzuo, and we had Lawrence St. John with his 4 book series of Metatron. I said, guys, what if we went and we made a comic book, and we got it funded on a Kickstarter? Everybody gets a comic that expands the stories that we're already telling. We're not going to go back and rehash anything, but we're going to expand it. And they were like, man, that sounds great. Let's do it. So we went ahead. We got a couple of artists we worked with initially just to get like the covers done and the first couple of pages and the inks. And then we went ahead and we ran a Kickstarter and we got it funded. So that gave us the money we needed to get those first 4 issue comics done. And then from there on, we just been kind of doing our own funding ourselves. And obviously the authors put in to work with the artists who we select, and then we just come together and we publish them for them.
Well, that's awesome. So it's really taken off. If like sales been high, interest been high.
Yeah, like I say, we do mainly through the conventions is where we're getting a lot of our sales. We've had a lot of our comics go like #1 on Amazon. We do have them digitally, so our ebooks have been like #1 on Amazon for their categories and things like that. So slowly but surely, I am looking into a couple of publishing models now that like the whole diamond debacle, how that kind of went out, but we got some new
Which is
people
gone
obviously
now.
coming in. Yeah, and so we're seeing these new entities who are coming forward who want to do so. I'm curiously, skeptically, just kind of looking at that from a distance right now, but that's eventually where we'd like to go. So that way we can get these things out to the masses with more of these comic book stores.
How is your stuff available? Is it like available on Amazon or do they need your website or both? What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, if they go to our ebooks, our comics are on ebooks digitally on Amazon if you got a Kindle, or if you want to run over to Barnes and Noble, if you got a Nook, you can do that. Or you can buy the floppies from us directly on our website at cosmomediaproductions.com/store.
Okay. And I guess you only ran one crowdfunding campaign and the rest is like you just finance it yourself?
Well, I did, yeah, I got Broken funded through a crowdfunding through Kickstarter as
What
well.
is Broken Funded?
Broken was the zombie story that we
Oh,
did.
okay, all right,
Yeah,
yeah.
I had the story come out first, the novel. I did that all myself, and then when we got funding for the comic book, that was the next level we did. And then we mainly a lot of the authors kind of do their own funding stuff outside, and then they'll bring it to us when they're done.
Do you find one is like a bestseller, is like a favorite that people love to go to?
For me, my when I write, my next story is my next favorite of my series. That's my goal is to write the next story that I truly, truly, truly fall in love with. And I say, man, this is my best. So for me, right now, I'm in Broken because that's what I've been writing. That's my latest. And I dedicated this story to my girls. I have 3 girls, and I put their personalities all into Kisa to try to make her as relatable. and as lovable and also as challenging as she is. So that's
Yeah,
my
well,
laser
definitely the
also.
most realistic is what you know. You know,
Yeah,
I hate
absolutely.
when people like write something they know nothing about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the easiest thing. Whatever they say, whatever I feel like you're an expert in, that's what you write about because it could just pour out of you. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's what
people
I
can
did.
feel the authenticity. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that's what I did. And right now I'm working on a historical fiction book that I'm like flat out in love with. And it's going to be a duology with a novel and a graphic novel. So I'm working on those two things simultaneously right now. So that's my new love. But yeah, I still got love for Broken and I love the Cape. I love the
Okay,
Fabulous
awesome.
Five.
What's the purpose of the new thing you're working on?
Can't give out too much of it yet, but I will give you some. I'll give you some settings. It's
No
feudal
spoilers.
Japan.
I'm just asking, you know.
It's feudal Japan. Feudal Japan,
Okay.
historical fiction, along with a graphic novel that gets a little bit more into the fantasy elements as I pull that story forward from what's documented historically. So it's dope. Trust me, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I feel like enough people or not enough people do that sort of thing. Like, you know, hey, I'll do a deep dive and I'll put like some real history in it. They're
Mhm,
like, yeah,
absolutely.
man, I know this, and I'll throw it out there, and you're like, dude, that's not the way it went down at all.
Right. Absolutely. And it's been great for me because it's my first historical fiction series, story that I've written. And to take, I mean, I took notes and notes and notes. And now I just go back as I'm in the timeline. I go, all right, we're going to drop this in here now, historically, what happened. And, make sure the authenticity is upheld from the agriculture to the spiritual stuff that was going on in that time in that area to make sure it's so accurate with the emperors and the Mayos and the
No, that's great.
shogunates.
Like I
Good
remember I
stuff.
did in Alta convention, it was like a panel and like they were I think it was like one of the cons and like you know so they're like fairly big name authors talking on this panel. And one's like actually a couple, but one started out and he's like, I never do any research. I'm like, okay, well I'll never read your stuff.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I think people will appreciate it, dropping that information in there, giving you a background. Like you're going to learn something from this time period by the time you've read this novel. You know what I mean? And you're going to be intrigued and mystified
Oh, it's great.
by the
That's what I
characters.
love the most, and I think that's what most people love the most. Like I remember I read I think it's what is it, 2000 Leagues or 20,000 Leagues in the
Hmm.
Sea, but I read
Yeah.
the original and it's like talking about all this like you know all this fauna and stuff
Right.
underwater, and
Right.
he spends forever detailing it. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
I read that he made it all up. I'm like, dude, what? Why did I spend all this time like reading this shit when
Right.
he's like
Right.
not? But
Yeah.
all right. So, what do you have coming out now? Do you have a project that's just released or about to be released?
We just released. I mean, just yesterday, we just published the seventh and final book in the Legacy of Dragon One series from author Daniel Payton. If people love fantasy, they love dragons, they love that whole medieval time stuff, man, go grab it. Kirkus book review loved book one, and then from there on, it just kind of caught its fire as pardon the pun, as far as dragons are concerned. But yeah, that's
Caught his
out there.
fire.
Yeah, people could go ahead and grab that now, man, and it's available and it's on our website. You can get the link to take you right to Amazon, pick it up.
Okay, I know a lot of people like this wasn't a big thing with like the major publishers like Tor and stuff, but like a
Hmm.
lot of the indie people that are really successful, they do a lot of perks. Like you can get like plushies or you can get
Right.
like you know bookmarks, do stuff like that.
Yeah, when we come to conventions, we get bookmarks with all of our books when people sign for them. We also have superhero power cards if they buy the comics. We got these little cards with the character on the front, on the back. Like we have the same rules for the fighting games, so people want to take our characters and actually fight in like Pokemon or whatever like that, and Naruto. They could actually do that because we have those same rule sets. So yeah, so we have those. We call it book swag. So we definitely have some
Okay.
book swag for people to pick up.
So are the characters from your fiction, or do you also do games as well?
No, we actually do have a game that we are working on. Me and author Keyshawn Dodds are working on an actual real game with our superhero characters, and so we're hoping to have that crowdfunded probably at the end of the year, so we can get it out and get the boards and everything to people who actually buy into that. So be on the lookout for that.
Do you have a venue that like do you put it in like conventional stores? Is it mainly available online? You know,
Yeah.
how do you promote it?
Yeah, always. Everything is online, and right now, like I said, we're just in the foundational stuff with the game, the fighting game right now, and because we've already got the stories now, we've got all these superheroes and their stories, and they're intersecting. storylines where they crossing over and all that. So we've got all of that good foundational stuff. So now it's just a matter of actually going out and executing how we're gonna put the tiers for the purchase, the buy-in for what you're getting with the card game.
Okay, as far as both as far as the writing and as far as the art, do you have like kind of styles? It's like I hate to say I hate to ask people to compare it because then people are like, no, I didn't rip that guy up. I'm like, no, if you like this guy's stuff, would you like my stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was fortunate on Cape Hellfire, which was my first comic. That's the one we got funded through the Kickstarter. I was fortunate to work with a guy named Tyler, the animator, who who was the head of Godhood Comics, and he gave me a couple of artists to reach out to. Just kind of met him at a convention. And he was like, "Yeah, man, I see you doing your thing. Here's a couple of artists. Reach out to them." So I was fortunate enough that I was able to work with a guy named Bruno Abdias, and Bruno has since gone on, very, very talented, very skilled artist. He's gone on to actually do the Cyborg series for DC. So when people pick up my comic, they're like, "Whoa, like this is really." I say, "Yeah." I said, as much as that is fabulous to look at, it taught me as a writer how to expand those panels and what can be done in a comic page because Bruno's so skilled. I would write out the script and he'd come back with something I like, man, that's way beyond what I was seeing. Okay, good. And he helped me really expand my mind on how to write comic panels for pages that just speak on their own, that you don't even need a lot of dialogue. And when you do, though, it's like top-notch stuff. So it kind of brought my skill set of being a three-act structure story novelist and a movie script writer into comics. I dropped those two things together and had the expansion of my of how I see things on the pages through Bruno, and now it's just killer.
Okay, do you have like one or two guys who are kind of the inspiration, like Alan Moore or like Frank Miller or something like that? Or like I really like that style of storytelling.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Alan Miller was great. I'm like you. I loved, I'm a DC fan more than the Marvel stuff. So I
Right.
loved what the Watchmen did. So my superhero story was kind of that same kind of gritty superheroes, not the
Yeah,
real
Watchmen
colorful.
totally broke the bounds. I remember they came out, I was like, holy shit.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I mean, deep stuff too with time, and I love all that stuff he did with like the tachyon particles and
Yeah,
time
yeah.
and all that stuff. I just soaked that up, So this the style of storytelling is where I really followed along with my story.
Okay. And as far as the artists, you said you have like a stable of artists you
Hmm.
use.
Yep.
What do they have one style more or less that they kind of do like along those lines, or do you have like the Al Williamson guy and the Mike Mignola guy and the Todd McFarlane guy?
Right.
What's going on with that?
We kind of do it by genre. We have guys who we know really do like the manga because we went ahead and we launched our first manga comic recently with Nexus Astrum, which is fantastic. So we have like a manga team, We have one that kind of does more of martial arts, you know what I mean? Then we have like the big superhero kind of guys, and we have the ones who kind of do like I had Ram Silva as my inker and my colorist is Luis Caballero, fabulous folks to work with. They're the ones who did my stuff for Broken. So I know the styles of who we have involved. And so it's just a matter of where are you seeing this story go as I have a conversation with the authors and they say, yeah, it's kind of like this, it's kind of like that. I go, I think I got a guy for you. I got a gal for you. We have all ladies and guys who working on this stuff and just killing it right now.
Oh,
And
it's best
everybody
when
who sees our
people
stuff is impressed.
specialize in what they're good at.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And was it like kind of a limited start, and then you've expanded it as the popularity and the interest has increased?
Yep. That's what we do. You get out issue one, you see how people are biting on it, and if it's good enough and it's gold, then we just keep pushing it. That's why I end up getting to issue two of the Cape. Right now, Kaio Champion has this story called, and you'll dig this, ANVK, African Ninja Vampire Killers. And it's brilliant marketing. We say that to everybody at the conventions. They do the same thing you just did. They laugh, they pick it up, they see the artwork, and they go, "Okay, I want this." So now I'm actually co-writing with him because we're doing a little bit of a crossover with a character who's in that new story that I'm working on. Is going to go back and be in his story. So I'm co-writing with him right now. We're getting the outline fleshed out, and the story is going to be fabulous. So that artist is actually working on the novel, on the graphic novel right now. When she's done with that, she's going to start working on AMVK Part 2 because she did Part 1. So we got that locked down.
Yeah, I laugh because it used to be that I remember, if it was ridiculous, like people didn't even want to put it up. Now it's like people want to take a chance on it. Like how crazy does Teenage Mutant Ninja
Right,
Turtles sound?
right.
And
Absolutely.
then it blew up huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think and that's the magic, what you just said. When I was a kid, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like, what are y'all talking about? You know what I mean? It makes
Right,
you, but you're intrigued
right.
because how you gonna make this work? You know what I
You don't
mean?
write that off, but you're like, I hope they pull this off because they don't, it's gonna be
Right.
garbage.
Right, right. And so like I'm telling you, people would come to the table. I say, have you ever heard of AMVK? They were like, I said, what do you mean? I said, African Ninja Vampire Kids. You ever heard of it? No, I haven't yet. I said, oh, you have now. And I would hand them the comic,
Yeah.
done, you know? And
That's what you gotta do. You gotta promote yourself. Yeah.
yeah, I find what happens is that people, everybody has their favorite. If they're comic book fans, superheroes fans specifically, they have their favorites. Oh, I'm a Spider-Man fan. Oh, I'm a Superman fan. Oh, I'm this and that. I know that it's hard to convince them to try a brand new superhero that I just made up in my mind. You know what I
Right.
mean? But if you're a comic reader, you're really more interested in something that's new and fresh. They don't really necessarily want to buy your superhero stuff, but you got a story like Broken, or you got a bounty hunter series with Steel Rain, or especially you have AMVK. They're all over that. You know what I mean? Because
Well,
that's
I
I'm a
think a
comic
lot
book
of
reader.
that
It's new.
I think a lot of that, the like, only going by certain specific
Yep.
big name characters, that has been broken. Like it
Yep.
used to be like it had to be Iron Man, it had to
Right.
be
Right.
Spider-Man, and now people want to take a chance. And like I was talking to Brian Keene, and he's a fairly big name author, but he
Right.
also runs a comic shop, and he said, Marvel and DC are like 3 to 4% of my sales.
Right. 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 That's crazy. That's awesome.
I was going to ask you, one thing I've noticed is like, so I do illustrated books, and
Hmm.
when I go to like horror conventions or I go to like book author conventions that are more directed towards the horror market, it's all fine. But if I go to comic conventions, they only want comic books. Like even if
Hmm.
you say, "Hey, it's an illustrated novel," they're like, they don't
Right.
care.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering because you do like a diversion, like a whole bunch of different things, a variety of things. So do they all sell at each convention? Like, the comic book like reels them in, but then they check out the book?
Yeah, I mean, so the key is it's the way the stories are written. And I learned this lesson a long time ago because if you have a series, you got book one, two, and three, you got a trilogy. Some somebody may not ever get the book one, but they say, "Ooh, I really like book two. Do I have to read book one to read book two?"
Right.
And I tell them, of course you do. You want the foundational stuff, but if you pick up this book right now, I've already given you enough breadcrumbs in the beginning to set this pace for you so you can jump into this story on its own. But of course you want to go back. The same thing with Broken. I wrote Broken, the novel, all this deep information, foundational stuff about the history of what happened with the bombs dropping and everything, and all the characters. You got the establishment, you got the Asher, the zombies, and you also have the hoarders, and you have Kisa. I gave you all that stuff, but I wrote the comic to catch you up. So the first couple of pages is all in this exposition storyline that brings you right up to speed, and you go, "Oh, okay." And it says at the top on the first page, following the events that happened in Broken Book One, so you know where to go. And I actually just dropped a full page in the graphic novel of summarizing the journey of Kisa over the novel and the comic book. So now when you get to this graphic novel, the first thing you hit when you open up is this all happened. Boom, 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 boom. Now we're here. So even if you just said, I don't want to go read the comic and the novel, I can read the graphic novel. So again, people who don't know where they kind of fit into, or I only write comics, you'd be surprised when people go, man, but this looks really good. And they dig the story of what they're getting from the novel, I mean, from the comic and the graphic novel, they do pick up the novel.
So it's all the same kind of continuity and universe, like whether you're doing comic books, but it's not like each
Yep,
one is necessary to read the next one.
absolutely.
Like I tell people my books are like Mad Max or Road Warrior. Like, you can read it by itself, like you watch Road Warrior by
Right,
itself, but if you want a
right.
little backstory, watch Mad
Yep,
Max. Is
yep.
that what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. And that way people who, if it's not their thing, they can still get something out of what their thing is. You know what I mean? And if you
Right.
want to go back, man, and like we did on our comic books and the end, when you finish the comic book, we have a page sitting right there with the other associated titles of that comic you just brought, and we got a QR code. Scan it, takes you right to our website, so you can actually read up. If you really want to go back and get it, you can get it now.
Okay, if if you want to give people like an idea, like if you like this, you like me, like would it be like more like Hellboy? Would it be more like Watchmen? Would it be like, is there something that you would say is kind of like along those lines?
If you like to play video games, Borderlands, Fallout, you would dig Broken. That's exactly what we are. We're still dealing with
Oh,
that
that
type of
show,
thing.
Fallout's awesome. Have you seen that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that would be the genre right there. It's like Fallout mixed with like I'm trying to think of something like a like the Hunger Games. Fallout
Right.
meets Hunger Games, that's Broken.
I kind of felt like Fall or not Fallout. It kind of felt like Hunger Games was a little bit of a ripoff of the Japanese. What's that Japanese movie where it puts like all the kids on the island, they all have to kill each other?
I don't remember if it's Japanese. I do remember Lord of the Flies. That was something similar way back in
Well,
the
I
day.
mean, it came after Lord of the Flies. Oh,
I'm
fuck, can't.
sure.
I don't know why I can't remember it right now, but like there's this Japanese movie that's kind of like I feel like Hunger Games is kind of like young adult, and this one's more like
Hmm.
adult.
Right.
But they were similar concepts. But I mean, getting inspired by other people, is like as old as time. As long as you don't directly rip it off, it doesn't
Absolutely.
matter.
Yeah. They say
So,
imitation is the ultimate form of flattery, right? You
right.
came up with a great idea. I got one. I'm gonna spin off of that. It's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, I think it's kind of ridiculous. Like I'm a big fan of Dune, and the guy from Dune,
Hmm.
like Frank Herbert's estate was trying to
Yes.
sue George Lucas. Like he sold that for Star Wars. It's like, no, he didn't.
Right.
Like
Right.
I'm sure,
Right.
like he saw Dune was a little inspired, and he did it.
Right.
But all right, man. So I don't want to keep you here all day, but if people really want to look at your stuff and they will check it out, what should they go to?
Absolutely. So if they go to my website, our website, cosbymediaproductions.com. When they get there, they'll be able to see our links on the side for all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and X. And then as they just scroll right down the page, we made the website very easy to navigate. Right down the middle, it'll say genres. If you like fantasy, young adult, poetry, whatever fiction, it's all right there. Click on it. It's going to take you to a lot of our offerings that we have. And those links, if you don't want to, you can buy from our store. All of our stories that are the hybrid model with the novel and comic, you can buy from our store directly from us, or you can just follow the links that take you to Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Do you sell anything on the site like original art or art prints or anything like that?
No, we haven't gotten into that yet, but definitely have some. We do have our prints that we sell. We have huge posters with original art from our characters that we do sell at the convention. So eventually, we'll probably get there to offering it on the sites as well.
Do you have a convention coming up that you're going to?
Yeah, if they want to check us out, come on down to Atlanta next month in July, the weekend of the 18th. We will be there at Atlanta Comic Con. People could come and holler at us, check us out. We'll have everything there, and they get to pick up a copy of something they love.
Okay, is that pretty big? Like I know the New York one and the California one are real big.
Yeah, they're not there
You're
yet, but
shaking
they
your
are getting. We're
head.
talking about like hundreds of thousands at San Diego and New York. Right now, I think the last numbers I remember with Atlanta Comic Con, they were somewhere between 20 and 30. So they're getting up there.
Okay, so they're on the way.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, do you have something else that you wanted to throw out? Oh, I wanted to ask you. You said one of your things got picked up for like a screenplay. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was I'm a writer for hire, so I just did that. It was a pilot for somebody that they needed to use to try to pitch. So
Okay.
they shot like I think it was like a 18-minute pilot. So I wrote that for them. So yeah, so I've got experience with some stuff getting picked up.
Okay, awesome. Was it actually like did it transition to a movie or was it something that they looked at? Like I know the vast majority of scripts, no matter how good they are, like
Yeah.
they get passed on all the time because like the wrong guy was in or whatever.
Yeah. I think it was one of those things, they got it to a couple of people and then they just kind of flaked out on them. But I did my
All
job.
too common, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, man. So definitely go to your website. You're saying you have it available on Amazon and like
Yep.
Barnes and Nobles. You have to order it, or is it something on the shelves? Like I know
You
all this stuff is going away.
Yeah, stuff is print on demand. So if people go and they buy it from Amazon, I mean, if you buy it offline, they're gonna ship it to you because it'll print and ready to go. But if you go into the stores, then you're gonna have to order it to come into the store to pick it up.
Okay. All right, cool. Do you have anything else you want to throw out there to the social sphere or whatever?
No, I think I'm good, man. Thank you so much for having me on, Dan. This was great, and I'll definitely be looking out for the link to it so I can share it and get it around to everybody else. If you guys want something that's fresh, new, stories that you might not have heard already, I promise you, you'll find something over at CosbyMediaProductions.com from these great artists and authors that we have that will offer you something, a great variety of storytelling that you can find your next story to fall in love with.
Okay, one thing I will say is everybody should read his stuff and review it. Like, all too
Yes.
many people go, "Oh, that's great." I was like, "Cool, did you write me a review?" They're like, "Oh
Right,
no, should
right.
I?" I'm like, "Yes." But
Yeah.
all right, man, thanks for being on this. Thanks for, I'll tell you when this is up.